Evening, folks. Give everyone a few minutes to get logged in here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good, good.
We didn't do a great job of engaging our appointees before the meeting, so they may be a little lacking with the holiday and everything this week, but we'll give everyone a few more minutes to get logged in before we kick off, and no one else logs on. We'll keep it quick. Kelly, did you have any other appointees reply that they would be attending this evening?
No, I didn't get anything from anyone, but I see Eva and John Black are coming in now.
Okay, great. Eva, John, thanks for joining us.
Good evening.
Hey.
Sorry I'm late. I literally was getting the notifications on my computer and I was like, well, let me snooze that. I got 10 minutes and I was going, then I looked at the time. I was like, oh snap. I must have just missed it instead of so.
And just breeze right by it. You know, it's my favorite thing
Yeah.
to do with the alarm clock in the morning. That's how I usually get like an extra hour
Right.
for sleep that way.
You know, I'm in the middle of budget season at work, so it's like easy to get engrossed in.
I understand. Well, very good, y'all. It's a few minutes past our start time, so we'll go ahead and dive into our agenda. Looking at the folks we've got on the line, I think I've got a good roll of who is here and who's not. Looks like we're going to be a little bit short of a quorum, so I will go ahead and get started here. Thank you all for joining us tonight for the Transportation Penny Advisor Committee's November meeting. Kelly, any public comments you've received at your office?
No, we haven't received any.
Okay, very good. So we'll move past item 2. Noting the lack of quorum, we'll also table item 3, approval of our October minutes, and hope for quorum next month that we can settle that business. And with that, we can move into item 4 on our agenda, the Office of Small Business Opportunities, and page 3 of our agenda packet.
Okay, thank you, and hello to everyone. Good evening. I'll be real quick. We are at 120 SOBE. We've done actually a really good job as far as with renewals and maintaining our SOBEs as as the expirations have been coming up. And pretty much we're just in planning mode for 2023 as we take a look at a lot of the technical workshops we are going to be putting on for the beginning of the year. So we're going to also start our meetings with all the different departments, hopefully in January. But we're putting together the calendar now.
I think we may have lost OSBO. Oh. Hey, Pam, can you hear us?
Okay, I'm back. Yeah. So we're continuing obviously to do site visits and all of that, and we still have new applications coming in, but we're in planning mode for 2023. So pretty short and sweet. We've got a couple of vacancies right now, so we're looking to hire a business development person, and that's kind of a focus. Hopefully somebody on at the beginning of the year. So that's all I have for you tonight.
Very good. Thank you for sharing with us. We can go ahead and move on to our next item on the agenda, the COMET programs update. Ms. Bowers, it looks like we've got you starting on, let's see here, page 11 of our agenda packet.
Yes, okay, so actually we can go to, first of all, good evening, everyone. We can go to page 12 that shows the area view of the Lucius Road project. And about 2 weeks ago, actually our staff met with the project manager to walk over to the site and just identify the location where to put the shelters and how to position them. So we've already taken care of that, and they're in the process of installing the shelters. Okay, on page 13, as of month end, the project is now 85% physically complete, and it's 79% financially complete. And as of this monthly report, Cherokee has submitted their application and certification for payment for the month of October, totaling $516,064.33. Okay, on page 14, this is a summary of the work for the shelters and benches from Davis and Floyd. This is actually a summary of the next 2 pages, which I'll cover now, and I'll start on page 15. So completed sites, we don't have any for this period. And the approved sites, the first shelter, which is at Broad River and Shivers, awaiting sign agreement between the COMET and Dixie Pipeline. So actually, the COMET did receive an agreement from Dixie Pipeline, and that was passed on to our legal department to look at that agreement. And our legal department did make some minor changes, and we sent it back to Davis and Floyd to pass back on the Dixie Pipeline. So that's where it is now, so they can look at the changes that our legal team made. And next we have a bench at Hardscrabble Road and Bush Road, and that one's waiting on the completion of the Hardscrabble widening project. So sites currently under permit review. The first one is the shelter at Broad River Road in Rushmore. That's where Rush's Hamburger Restaurant is on Broad River. That one is now in review. So it was reported that they may have some reservations about putting a shelter there, but they still in communication with that. The next one is a bench at West Hospital Sunset, which is at Lexington Medical Center. That one's also is in review for easement. Okay, on page 16, sites and design, we have 5 shelters as of now, and we have 20 benches that's in design presently. Okay, page 17, we'll go to our ridership report. For the month of October, we had 155,044 riders. And for the same time last year, it was 138,010. And this is like an increase of 11.63%. Page 18 and 19 are our financials. Ms. Rosalind Andrews is on this meeting call if y'all have any questions about the financials. So she's available to answer any of those questions. And if there is no questions for me, that's the end of my report.
I did want to ask about the new Superstop and what the new completion date is. I know that initially it was, I think, aiming for like October or so, and it seems like we still got a couple steps left. So we have a new date when we might be cutting ribbons and opening it up.
Well, the last date they gave us was like around the end of this month.
Okay.
So we don't know if that's still a good date or not, because we're still waiting to get all the shelters installed. So actually it's gonna be 16 foot shelters. That's gotta be installed, yeah. Mhm.
Very good. Do y'all have some of these amenities like in a stockyard somewhere? Or are y'all waiting to get them in, or?
Yes, we do have some already in stock. We are waiting on additional ones, but we do have some already in stock, and they're located here on our property some as well.
So when we look at this long list of ones that are in design, I mean, is there any low-hanging fruit on those to be able to get, some of those amenities out and installed rather than, I guess, do they progress in order, or is there an opportunity to look at the ones that are the low-hanging fruit, the easy ones to get installed and get them out there and placed?
Yes, actually, the last few that we did, the last couple that we actually did, it was shelters that were damaged. For example, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, a car tore down one on North Main, and it just totally dismantled it. So ones like that, we try to get to right away and put those in place.
Very good.
I just drove by there, the super place, and it's like just frequently going by there. It's like it's really progressing and moving right along. So
yes, it is. So once we get those shelters up, and I think I stated last month that one of the board members want to see some greenery, so we gotta get that taken care of too, with the planting of the trees and shrubberies and all that.
Oh yeah, looking at the overhead, it's definitely pretty stark out there.
Yeah.
Without any, trees.
Yeah.
And I guess, is that a pond kind of at the actual intersection there?
right next to the site.
Yes, there is
Yeah.
actually at the corner of River and Lucius. Is that their stormwater pond?
Yes, that's what it
Okay.
is. Mhm.
Gotcha. So that you can't put trees in there, unfortunately.
No, we can't put trees there.
Okay.
You can only put like grass on the embankment of the pond, so.
Right. Okay. Very good. And I think last time we were talking that Reimagine the Comet was still out there
Yeah,
to some degree, and so it's still, I guess, getting bounced around a little bit and trying to figure out what
yeah,
that perfect
it's
balance is
still,
going to be.
yeah. Yeah, it's still getting bounced around. We did receive the feedback, and that will be used to determine, whatever decision that we come up with. So, yeah.
Okay. Very good. And any other steps on the electric and hydrogen buses and getting those incorporated into the fleet?
The last thing that we got, they're supposed to come out to look at the alternate location that we selected for the fueling station.
Okay.
So as far as the delivery of the buses, I think it's going to be next year, early next year, once we get them.
Very good.
Mm.
All right. That's all the questions I had. Anyone else have any questions before we move on to transportation? All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Bowers.
All right. Thank you too.
Yep. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, Mr. Maloney, thank you for joining us. Just scrolling down to figure out what page we're picking up with you on here. Looks like it's page 20 of our agenda packet. I'll turn it over to you, sir.
All right, thank you. I'll try to set a couple things up here. General information, just add some things here. We've got some meetings coming up. I think we have Michael Green on the phone, project manager for some of our upcoming widening projects, Dr. Holly, Jeff McNesby, and so we got a good participation here with the project managers, and they can certainly add anything. Screaming Eagle and Garner's Ferry were a couple we moved off the pre-construction list to construction. Their press releases went out as far as information about informing the public about the time frame for those constructions. Bull and Elmwood, we're looking at a upcoming press conference in December after the first week, say the 8th or 9th, and we'll be taking care of letting the citizens, commuters, and everybody know what the impacts of construction will be, the time of construction, and alternative routes, for instance, on that. Green Street, we're going to, with phase 2 coming to an end, I think it's the day before we do Bull and Elmwood, we'll have a ribbon cutting out there with Green Street in early December as well. There's a lot of interest by the city and the university in that event, and our public information office is working on all these with us. So we just went out there and looked at the project, and it was great to see the shade structure installed with all the meshes and stainless, woven stainless steel that's on there. It's very solid and very protective of the rail crossing below. So it looks pretty aesthetic, gives you the idea of a kind of a campus area and maybe the stadium effect by those structures, and yet delivers what it needs to. So those are in. There's some fine tuning to do with the landscaping and some of the underlaying plastics that need to be cut, and street sweeping, fences coming down. But the last thing that'll happen is those concrete grade structures that are blocking off the road will be pulled up shortly after the press conference. So we'll get you specifics on that as far as the date and time, but it's not even sure if it's on my calendar quite yet.
think that's been a important and visible project for the penny, and I think it's good that y'all are going to take a victory lap on that one. And I hope that you'll take the opportunity to point all the way up Green Street and all the way up to Assembly, and note that was also part of the penny program. Or did it go all the way to Assembly as part of Green Street, or did we only go to Lincoln?
It looked, well, yes, it went all the way up to the top of that hill where it says you can't take a left, which I was just doing today. That must be something. I had to go to another street up. You have to go straight there. I do not know why, but it doesn't give you an arrow. So
Yeah.
you get up by the
It's also
Capitol, then you're running around the backside of the Capitol.
Also a very tough one to ride your bike up that hill, and then having to stop at the top of the hill to get across the intersection. It's pretty tight.
Yes, and they put in these like green areas in the what would be a bike lane. So that must. I was kidding around saying, I'll bet that's just a place you can stand around on your bike or something. But I suppose you get
Pretty
tired.
much.
It's a rest area, and they're painted in bright green. So that must be the purpose.
Yes, sir. So
Then-
with that
Go ahead.
opening of Green Street, I guess if we had an opportunity to coordinate with the railroad and they're going to be okay with opening it to traffic and all that, or are we not wanting to talk about that in an open forum, or is that kind of
All open. It's all part of the project. Yeah, it's all to happen at one time. So they do close the two closings and open the bridge, and that's been an agreement since just 1983.
in those closings? Is that just going to be a concrete barrier so that pedestrians will still be able to use those crossings for some period, or is it going to be a pretty dramatic
The street will,
expansion?
yeah, the street between the tracks and 10 feet outside the tracks are removed by the railroad.
Gotcha.
So no,
Okay.
it's not an official crossing at that point.
Okay. Well, I do hope you'll keep us updated as we get ready to cut that ribbon so that the penny and everyone involved can take a victory lap on that project, because it's definitely been a good one.
It's like you say, the view of that, what it's done from the bridge is impactful. And I think a lot of people that certainly came before my time did a lot of good work there. Hunt Club Road, we have a public information meeting coming up on that. I have December 2nd, but I know I put my own calendar together here just to give me sometimes an early heads up. We'll put anything out on these dates for public information meetings with a separate press release. Blythewood Road, that's out to bid. And so we're going to have either a press release or press conference on that as far as getting that to construction. And, just letting the public know more about what's going on with the road as they, attempt to commute through the area. And then we'll be doing the same thing more like in February with Atlas Road, some sort of presser to allow the public to know about the project, the impacts of the project, and its schedule. And then our OETs for Lower Richland are planning a PIM on that project as well. And that's looking like December 14th, but we have that one out with council members being reviewed for an appropriate date for Lower Richland Boulevard, which will inform the public about the roundabout at Rabbit Run and on down to the widening, 3-lane widening that becomes 5-lane widening as you approach Garner's Ferry Road. So I look forward to doing more with the press and information to get information about the penny outwards. And that's kind of a feedback I've heard just through other contacts and ombudsman calls and things like that. Just general requests for more information. So we want to make sure we tell the story and help the public understand what the 1% sales tax does for them.
Absolutely. I'm glad that y'all are making good use of that resource and engaging with that group to help out with that. It's good.
Sure. On the pre-construction update, again, the two key projects that are close to coming in is Atlas Road widening and I would say then Sunset sidewalk. We're trying to push all the projects along. Spears Creek Church Road, for instance, is getting close with right-of-way plans being prepared. So we're moving them all along to get to our goals, right-of-way, preliminary design, right-of-way plans, final plans, and then to construction. Since last month, we were able to move, kind of marks the year I've been here, but we moved about 6 or 7 projects over into the construction. Again, Blythewood widening is going to be one of the big ones. Bull and Elmwood starting in January. Blythewood's in advertisement, so we haven't had that pre-construction meeting with a contractor. At that time, after it's awarded, we'll know more about a specific start date. Bid package M and N, keeping those moving along in construction. Garner's Ferry Harmon, we're doing the various utility relocates out there, so no road construction as far as the actual pavements work has been done, but they're waiting for AT&T was the last to mobilize for their relocations out on Garner's Ferry Harmon. Innovista Phase 2, as we talked about, it's essentially complete except for some of those fine point work areas on the closures. We're going to do some things to spruce it up before we do a press conference, but it does need some street sweeping and that on the new street, some cleanup of the landscaping work. North Main Street, all the concrete is removed that was underlying. So now they're on to fine milling and prep for the asphalt pavement work. I had pointed out that there's some leveling needed on some of the castings out there for the road slopes. The resurfacing packages have been moving right along. S is awarded. T is through ad hoc committee and recommended to council, so that'll go to the next council meeting. I believe the next one I'm seeing is early December. And then that would be awarded. At that point, we're estimating, under $1 million, 860,000 or so is left in the resurfacing. And we'll verify that we have what we believe is adequate contingencies. T, because the bids came in really close to one another and they were a little high. We were taking that one to manage it tighter at 7.5% in contingency. We feel good about that, that a contractor didn't leave millions hundreds of thousands on the table, so to speak. The low bidder was real close to the other two bidders. So that's being managed with a tighter contingency, I think is adequate. Screaming Eagle Percival intersection, again, that's been going through clearing, and a lot of the work there will happen without disturbing the traffic the way it works right now. But they're doing the clearing and then the utility relocates on it. And that one started about a month after Garner's Ferry Harmon, so just September and then October this started. Three Rivers Greenway, Phase 1B, there was a requirement we had on there with the railroad requiring us to put a fence up, and that fence was installed. So they went out and looked at it and said they concur with the construction is complete. We just need to get the closeout documents and the as-built on that one, but it's essentially, all work items are complete. And so that's what we have in construction, open solicitation right now, Blythewood Road widening. And these are our upcoming 4 closest projects. Alpine Percival sidewalk, Sunset sidewalk, and Atlas Road widening. Phase 1 was put on there. When this project, Atlas Road, was de-scoped, it left the sidewalks in the block of, I'll call it the block, the area between Bluff Road and Shop Road. But it will be challenging to put those, you couldn't put those sidewalks in without the road project. So while they're funded, we would really need to see, they really need to go in with the road project. It's a 3-lane road project in that area with turn lanes and in that. It does accommodate future development in that area. But the sidewalk is behind curb and gutter, so it is urbanized as well in that area. So putting sidewalk in that situation would be a problem without the road improvement. So that's something we'll need to look at, and it will be real important how the upcoming bids are, knowing we do have funds there in excess of 20% of what we plan on doing. So in other words, reserve funds. So it's very important that we watch that along with inflation and how the bids come in to look at and make recommendations to council on anything that would be rescoped. That's all we have. We did have our financial report at the end. I know you've seen several times resurfacing package S&T in here. There also is the dirt roads currently under evaluation. So there's a list of those and what council district they're in. Kelly had remembered that there was a request for that from our last month's meeting. So she put this in here. Thank you, Kelly.
John, you have to recognize. John, I just wanted to thank Mr. Maloney for including me for this month. So thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Eva, I want to make sure you saw that in there, and we can barely hear you through the line here, but I did get that. So yeah, please take a look if you see any roads in there that are badly in need of repair or paving, or you have interesting neighbors down that way that would want to have that stuff installed. Let's let the Penny program know so that they can take that under consideration.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
May I add to that, sir?
Please.
Yeah, the going back through of the Penny program, the dirt road paving program. We are getting a list together, and we have a list we got now of all the projects we've completed at the Penny. It fills multi-columns of a page, but the ones that we're funded that aren't completed is a pretty big list as well. And we have that by council district that might help people, if you're interested in things in your area. But it's kind of a mix of, they didn't meet the consent denial program, or they didn't meet the right of way. So these are all funded. So it's the ones that pull your hair out because you have funding but you can't get to it. So we went back through and looked at that, and we found that there was this formula. Let's say 4 residents live on the road. We would go in and find that there was a consent form filled out in favor and a denial form filled out. And then the other 2 aren't there. So their formula was if there was nothing that meant consent. So then they'd proceed to right away. So we would want to, what we're going to redo is, send those out to get consent, true consent, by having those other two in there. So 3 out of 4 would be consent, 2 out of 4 would not be consent. So it hinges on that 75%. The problem with going in beyond that without consent is the next step is right away, and you're asking for property in exchange for a paved road. And so that's a big challenge when they don't want a paved road. So the idea is, though, if some of these are very important roads to the community, more than the 4 residents, for instance, they did get extra credit for being a pass-through road. I understand that, there's a lot of citizens that may be concerned about getting a road like that paved, because now it's going to add to the traffic passing through. On the other hand, there may be others that use it more like a business and farm and that sort of thing, and they may really, want it paved. So we've got a lot of mixed decisions on these things, and we're going to go back through these and try to find out what they really are, and whether they were done right or wrong before. It probably has changed. The opinions for or against have probably changed. So we want to do that and get as many roads as possible paved. And I would say it's on schedule. With a 22-year program, we're halfway through the budget, and we are, 9 years out of 13 years right now. So we're just under halfway in time. But there's plenty more to do, and we can't just turn and say, well, let's go to this area or that area. You got to have consent now. You got to have roads in front of you. So Jeff McNesby and Steven Staley are working on this together to add some horsepower to it and moving it along.
If I may, I hope you can hear me a little bit clearer.
Yes, ma'am.
That's great.
Yeah, so thank you for that information. But one of the things that I've experienced when it hits that right-of-way phase is lack of understanding or lack, of educating them, the residents, of what it really means when we hit that right-of-way phase. Because some of them have the mindset, some residents, homeowners have the mindset of, oh, they're taking away my property, as opposed to, the road. You have to give so much of your right of way in order to proceed with that phase. So it would be wonderful if there was some type of educational workshop for any of the communities that falls within or live on dirt roads to educate them on that process, because if they understand it fully, I believe we would get stagnant in that phase of the process.
I hear you on that. That's good, because we do need something. Number one, is government the most trusted thing to come in and take property? No, but what we're taking is forever and a day. We'll have the maintenance of this road for it, so it kind of takes it out of your hands and puts it into our hands for sure. I know one of the tough things has been that the county would, by prescriptive easement, provide maintenance, and we do that on a lot of roads. And then there's other roads that are private and we can't maintain. So at some point they started doing maintenance, and it became prescriptive, and so it's prescriptive easement. And then maybe the residents don't have any advantage if they're okay with with gravel versus pavement. We'll continue to do that maintenance. But in some counties, they've indicated that if you don't want your road paved, we won't, but we won't continue to do maintenance on the road. So I'm not saying that's a decision here at all or been put on the table, but it has been in other counties that are trying to get dirt roads paved. There's not many other options. I think what you're offering, Eva, is that there's a positive way of doing that, and just making sure everybody understands that we're taking on the maintenance for you. So by having right of way to put the road in and put this kind of public funding to it. That's required for paving the road and using the penny money for it. So couldn't do that on private land.
Yeah, absolutely. And just let me know how I can be instrumental in helping to coordinate some community informative, meeting on that behalf of the understanding the process of the right-of-way phase.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. We'll look for something this winter on that maybe after Christmas time and January. If we could do something to start on that, that would be terrific.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that right of way, do y'all offer compensation for that, or is the value proposition and the increased value of the rest of the property by having a paved road out front?
From what I understand, the general plan has been, that it is a road in exchange for a paved road in exchange for the right of way. And it's not just the paved road. They aren't literally, there was a program early on in 2014 where they may have literally just paved right over whatever was there. They're creating drainage ditches where there's not drainage ditches. They're creating valley gutters if they can't do that, and that may be on one side of the road or both sides of the road. And then they're putting in new storm sewer pipes to reroute water appropriately. And then the case of one, we were just doing Bowstring Road, we had to put in, we're meeting stormwater requirements. So we put in infiltration, trenching, and systems there. So it's more than just the road, but they are getting a paved road, and then it literally paves into your driveway so far, whatever it is, 10 or 15 feet into your driveway to keep from tracking gravel all the way onto the road. And it cleans it up, and it adds value to the properties.
Right. I wonder if there's a calculator or some way that you could put that value to property in something that they may be able to understand a little bit easier to say, hey, here's the increased value of an acre of land. Here's what, you may be losing by giving up 15 feet along the, line or the linear path of the roadway. As I say this, the spreadsheet's getting out of control in my mind. It gets a little bit more complicated than I initially started, but there may be a proposition to be made there to help folks understand that process as well, so that we can hopefully get past that first phase of identification and get to build some of these.
Yes, sir. I've got experience doing special assessments on exactly that.
Very good. Before I call for questions, is there anything else you wanted to cover, Mike?
No, sir. We do have an updated financial in the back end here, and I don't think there's a lot new that we didn't cover last time. But we continue to move forward with that to look at what we've expended to date in the program, which looks like it's very close to 50% value, even at the very bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if I got it on here. Yes. Okay. So in the roadways total, if you go one line up to program, traffic studies, plans, and mitigation bank, that had a big change this month. So the sales of wetlands is at 6.4 million, and then the remaining is 9.8. So the 9.8 came down from roughly 13 million. And so when we have a big sale of something, this time it was mostly stream bank to SCDOT and that's actually still going to ad hoc for December, but December 6th. But that's pretty much the item there. And those sales, like I say, that'll keep changing it. And now you can see total roadway is getting down to the level of referendum, and will continue to fall below referendum with those sales. That's all I have.
Very good. Any updates from DOT on the Broad River widening, about keeping that water line where it's at?
we put in our request to keep the water line where it's at and under a reinforced concrete cap. We haven't received a full response from DOT. I have Jeff McNesby. If you're on the line, I'm sorry if I'm kicking you out from the end here, and you're not ready, but I don't know if you had another update on that, anything new with DOT on that request to keep the 54-inch water line in place. Yeah, I might be catching them here at the end of the report. But we had put in the request. We hadn't gotten to the final conclusion on that. They did have some negative comments back, which I would have anticipated. But they did say that we probably were missing a few items that have come to bear, that we're going to provide a little more detailed. Not so much we can go this way or that way, but if we go that way, what are some of the risks that we really had discussed with relocating a water line of that size, which we have a lot of concerns with. So
Absolutely.
we're going to give them more practical issues. We also got the soil tested. So Jeff McNesby did that. We got the results back, and that soil is a perfect pH as far as allowing that water main to survive another 100+ years.
I know Columbia Water loves to hear it.
Yes.
Do you have a notice to proceed on the Bull and Elmwood, or just sometime after the press conference and still negotiating with the contractor?
I think we're through negotiations. It's just the pre-con's already happened, so we're contracted. It's just that their planned start date is not till the 2nd of January. Now there are some things that might
Hey,
show
Mike,
up.
we do have an NTP.
Yes, sir. Okay.
What is that date, if you don't mind my asking?
Rashid, if you want to
November
continue.
2nd. It's November 2nd, as Mike just said.
The start date, January 2nd.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Yeah, January 2nd.
Okay. Yep, January 2nd.
January 2nd. Sorry about it.
No problem. You might see some things show, we might see some things mobilize out there before that, but that's their official start date.
Okay, great. John, Eva, anything else for Mike here?
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Nah, I'm good.
All right. Very good. Well, Mr. Maloney, thank you very much for the update as always. With that, we can move into our other business. Our next scheduled meeting is December 19th. So that week before Christmas, hopefully everyone can join us. We're going to try to facilitate in-person meeting. We hit a snag on that this month, and we'll try to engage a little bit earlier and coordinate that as best we can. If not, it's good to know that we can do this virtually if we need to. So we'll like I say, try to facilitate in person if we can. If not, we'll meet here virtually again. I don't have any updates on membership since Ms. Kiefer joined us last month. I do see that we have, I think, 3 Richland County appointments available, at least 2, maybe a 3rd. And then also one for the City of Columbia. So maybe it's 2 Richland County and 1 City of Columbia that we need to have reassigned. Mike, last month I mentioned Mr. Busby, another appointee that I've been unable to get in touch with. His email address has gone dead, and I can't get a phone call through to him. And you mentioned be able to maybe find a way to reach out or something like that. I think my last course of action is to try to send him a letter, but I have to find an envelope and a stamp. I'm not sure if I have those things.
Okay.
If there's any means that y'all have, otherwise, it probably just needs to go back to council to say that, well, actually, we're going to need 3 more appointees for Richland County when they get an opportunity. So that's all I've got as far as membership. And then I guess the final thing is that as we come up on the end of the year and start to approach January, our January meeting is when we select officers for the next year. So be thinking about that, whether we want to take on larger roles within the committee and what those may look like. And so we'll continue to discuss that at the next meeting, and then take motions with a quorum in January if possible. So start driving towards that. But short, any other questions, comments, concerns, or otherwise? Seeing none. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We'll go ahead and call it a meeting. Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.